They said it like a dare. If you don't like her rude jokes, just pay and leave. No one's forcing you. I smiled. Thanks for the option. I stood up, dropped cash from my plate, walked out without a single word. Their laughter trailed me like cheap perfume. But it stopped when they realized I'd paid for mine only. By sunset, her engagement ring wasn't on her finger anymore. It was back in the store, sitting under cold glass, waiting. My name is Elena Brooks. And if you think this is just about a dinner gone wrong, stay tuned. What happens when love turns into performance and respect isn't on the guest list? It started with that dinner. The one I paid for. The one that wasn't really mine, not emotionally. Her, my brother's fiancée. She loved mocking me. Career girl, she'd say. Too single to understand real life. Everyone laughed. Even my mother, who once told me I was too sensitive when I cried over Dad's silence. That night, I let them laugh. I let the jokes land, pretending they didn't cut. But inside, I was making notes. Because the engagement party wasn't just at any venue. It was at a place I owned a share of. The boutique restaurant they were so proud to be invited to. They thought they were mocking me on my turf. They had no idea I could pull the entire table out from under them. And the ring? That was easy. A few calls. One email. Proof of purchase, mine. Because guess who fronted the down payment on the diamond they bragged about? I watched the sun dip through my apartment window that evening. The receipt sat in my inbox. The refund pending. Their texts started coming in. Elena, what did you do? Where's the ring? We need to talk.
I didn't reply. Not yet.
Because sometimes silence isn't weakness. It's the drumbeat before the storm. The first call came from my brother. Not a voicemail. A FaceTime, which he never used unless he was panicking. I let it ring. Then came the text.
Please. Just talk to me.
She's freaking out. They were taking pictures, and then she noticed the ring was gone. You didn't have to go this far. But didn't I? Because here's what he never admitted. I paid for that ring. When he couldn't afford what she wanted, he came to me like always. I'll pay you back next quarter. Just help me out this once. I wired the money quietly. He got the proposal he wanted. She got the sparkle. And I got silence. No thank you. No credit. Just a seat at the far end of the table while she cracked jokes about how some people don't understand commitment. The night I walked out, I passed the jeweler's storefront on the way home. Impulse?
No.
That decision had been simmering since the second she called me, the family's background character. The return was simple. My name, my ID, my receipt. The refund went to a new account, one he didn't know existed.
And now?
She was posting cryptic Instagram stories. A photo of an empty ring box. A close-up of smeared mascara. A quote. Some people smile while ruining your life. I laughed. They thought I ruined a proposal. But really, I just reclaimed a debt. By noon, my mother called. Said I was being spiteful. I asked her calmly, do you think I should have stayed and paid for everyone again? Her voice shook. Well, that's not the point. But it is, Mom. The point is, I was only valuable when I was quiet and generous. And now that I'm neither, I'm the villain. She didn't answer. Just hung up. That afternoon, I went for a walk. Quiet. No music. Just the city breathing around me. And somewhere between 9th and Madison, I realized I didn't regret a single thing. Because when they gave me the option to just pay and leave, they forgot the second half of that offer. Leave and take everything you ever gave. By the next morning, they had shifted from rage to damage control. My brother texted, can we just talk? We can work this out. And her? She posted a new story, a close-up of her bare hand with a caption. Some women lose rings. Others lose self-respect. Followed by a playlist called Betrayal Broken Heart. It would have been funny if it weren't so painfully performative. But I stayed silent. No clarifications. No apologies. Just watched the show unfold from a front row seat I never asked for. Later that day, the restaurant manager called me, the one who runs the venue where their engagement dinner was held. Hi, Elena,
he said carefully.
We just got a panicked call from your mother. She said there might be some mistake in the booking. I leaned back in my chair. No mistake, I said. The event went exactly as planned.
Pause.
He cleared his throat. She implied there might be photos of the dinner that didn't come out right? Something about lighting or ambience. I smiled. I knew what she meant. They were trying to rewrite the narrative. Because the reality. Her red eyes from screaming. The way the waiter accidentally served the wrong wine after I updated the bottle list last minute. And the fact that I removed my tab an hour before I left. All made for bad optics. And the photos? Let's just say the venue's photographer knew exactly where to focus. Her fingers. No ring. A story with no sparkle. That evening, I finally replied to one message. My brothers. All I wrote was, the ring was collateral. You defaulted. He replied with a string of angry dots. Then, you're blowing this out of proportion. I put my phone down. Because the thing is, when they're used to you always being the one who smooths things over, the moment you let it burn, they call you the arsonist. But I wasn't burning anything. I was just turning off the gas I'd been supplying for years. The family group chat turned into a battlefield overnight. Aunt Nadine. Elena, whatever this is, you need to fix it. It's her engagement, not a prank. Cousin Tara. Y'all dragged Elena for years, and now you're shocked she's done? Then came the voice note from my mom. Tight voice. Measured tone. That we raised you better. Guilt weapon she kept holstered until moments like this. You've made your point. Don't ruin your brother's life over a ring. I hit play twice. Just to hear how calmly she still tried to control me. Your brother's life. Funny. No one ever worried when I was the one swallowing discomfort with every dry chicken breast and fake toast. No one panicked when the jokes flew and the laughter landed squarely on my chest. She couldn't salt my clothes, mock my single status, undercut my career like it was a side quest, and everyone else just giggled. Even when I excused myself to the bathroom that night, not because I had to go, but because I was choking on invisible dust. Not one person checked. But now I was ruining lives? I left my apartment and walked into the jewelry store again. The man behind the counter looked up, already recognizing me. Back again, he asked. I nodded. I want to pick something else. He tilted his head. A ring. No, I said.
A chain. Small.
Quiet. He brought out a few. I chose a gold one, simple, light. The kind of piece that says, I buy this for myself. Not for approval. I handed him the refund card from the engagement ring. I'd like to pay with this. He smiled. Cold. I shrugged.
No.
Correct. That evening, I wore the chain and went to a local poetry reading. Alone. Hair tied back. Piece stitched into every step I took. And when my phone buzzed with another call from my brother, I turned it off. Because they taught me how to pay. Now they were learning how I leave. They tried to salvage the story. She posted a photo, hand turned just enough to hide the missing ring, captioned, It's not about the diamond. It's about the love. But her face? Tight smile. Eyes that didn't shine. Then came the blog post from her best friend. Yes, a blog post. What happens when a jealous sibling sabotages your future? It was cute, really. A fictional retelling of the dinner, dressed in soft lighting and emotional manipulation. She wrote that I'd stormed out screaming, that I'd thrown a napkin, that I'd been bitter ever since they got engaged. All while completely ignoring the one fact that unraveled it all. The ring wasn't hers. And worse, they knew it. Every last one of them. But rewriting history was easier than facing the mirror. So, I wrote my own version. Not on a blog. Not in a group chat. I sent a simple email to her brand's business sponsor, the one whose logo sat proudly under all her candle packaging. Subject line. Financial disclosure discrepancy. Former funder speaking. I attached the invoice. The payment trail. The refund log. No commentary. Just facts. By the next day, her collaboration page was blank. By the next week, her online shop quietly closed. And me? I wasn't done. I made one final change. The restaurant. the one I co-owned? I requested the private video footage from that night. Not to post. Not to expose.
Just to keep.
In case anyone else ever tried to lie about what happened. The best part? At minute 43, the camera catches her twisting the ring on her finger, frowning slightly, whispering to my brother, "Are you sure she knows you'll pay her back?" He didn't answer, because deep down they all knew this wasn't a sudden explosion. It was a debt that had been accumulating quietly with interest, and the repayment had just begun. The engagement officially broke on a Wednesday. No big announcement, just a quiet change in relationship status, and the sudden disappearance of every post that ever said forever. No one said my name, but I could feel it in the air, like static, like smoke from a fire they swore never started. My brother stopped calling, stopped texting, but one night I saw him, standing outside my building, hands in his pockets, looking like a boy who'd finally realized that silence has a price. I didn't invite him up. He just stood there, and after a minute, he said softly, "I know you think I used you." I raised an eyebrow. "Think?"
He sighed.
"I was just trying to make her happy. And I was just trying to keep the family from falling apart," I replied. "But we can't keep bleeding for people who bring knives to the table." He nodded.
Didn't argue.
Then he handed me a small envelope. Inside,
A check.
half the cost of the ring. "It's what I could pull together," he said. "I know it doesn't fix it, but—"
It doesn't, I said.
"But it's a start." He turned to go, but paused. "You scared them, you know." I smiled. I wasn't trying to scare anyone. I was just done being quiet. He left, and I stood in the hallway holding that envelope, not because I needed the money, but because it finally felt like someone saw the wreckage they helped cause. That night, I opened a new doc on my laptop. Title: How to Leave Without Losing Yourself. It wasn't a blog. Not yet. But it was something, a blueprint for every woman who's ever been told to just pay and leave. Because next time, they'd leave too, only lighter, freer, and with their spine intact. By Friday, the engagement was on life support. Whispers started leaking into places she couldn't delete. Vendors ghosted her. A joint photo shoot was canceled, not because of scheduling, but because the photographer didn't want drama on set. My brother finally texted, "Is this really worth it to you?" I stared at the screen, because that word, worth, felt heavier coming from him. I thought about all the things I paid for over the years. Not just the ring, but the rides, the rent spots he couldn't cover this month. The quiet Uber rides I took alone after family dinners just to cry in peace. He knew the cost. He just never expected me to send the invoice. So I replied with a single sentence. "Ask yourself why I didn't blink when I took it all back." He didn't respond, but the silence this time, it didn't feel like victory. It felt like a line being drawn for the first time in years. That night I went out, not to distract myself, to celebrate. A gallery opening. My friend had a piece on display, a single portrait titled The Uninvited. It showed a woman at a long table. Empty plate, full glass, eyes that saw everything. I stood in front of it for a while.
She looked like me.
Not in the literal sense, but in the way she existed.
Present but erased.
Generous, but excluded. Until she stood.
Until she left.
And took everything with her. At the end of the event, the artist hugged me. "I didn't say your name, but you were the inspiration," she whispered. And I knew. For once, I wasn't background. I was the story. I walked home, heels clicking on wet pavement, necklight catching the chain I bought with the refund. Not loud. Not flashy. Just mine. I mailed the check to my savings account. Not to touch it. To remember. Because every time I'd emptied my pockets for family, they told me it was love. And every time I asked for respect in return, they told me I was being dramatic.
But now?
The silence didn't hurt. It healed. Weeks passed. Her candle business never reopened. My mother unfollowed me on everything. Dad sent one-word texts. "Okay, fine, heard." And my brother faded. But none of it felt like a loss. Because I had finally stopped asking to be included in rooms I paid for but wasn't welcome in. One afternoon, I went back to the gallery. The portrait the uninvited had sold. To someone in London, apparently. The artist smiled at me. She saw herself in it, she said. I nodded. So did I.
She paused.
You were always in the frame. They just cropped you out. That night, I lit one of my own candles. Not branded. No influencer packaging. Just soft wax and a flame that danced like it knew what I'd survived. And when the light flickered against the gold of my quiet chain, I smiled. Not because I won. Not because they lost. But because I stopped buying seats at tables where my name was never spoken with care.